As the anime begins, we see Nishino walking with a smile on her face. A student who admires her greets her good morning and she calmly replied back, good morning. She then stopped and approached Kageno-kun at the door entrance. She said, excuse me Kageno-kun. The boy replied back, what is it, Nishimura? But she replied that her name isn't Nishimura but Nishino. She shouted in a low tune, it ain't Nishitani, jerk. But Nishino, her name is Akane Nishino. After the school hours has ended, she prepared to head home. She picked up her phone to call her driver, but the driver's phone was ringing in the car without a response. But little did she know that her driver was been attacked by some men. Since her driver didn't pick up the call, she decided to walk home by herself. Kageno-kun was standing at the top of the building, observing her as she head home. As Nishino was walking home, she suddenly felt someone stalking her. She immediately looked but saw no one. She then exhales in relief. As she turned back she bumped into a huge man. The man looked at her with coldness shown on his face. Nishino began to run away from the stalker with fear. She then bumped into another stalker who caught her, then covered her nose with an handkerchief, which made her unconscious. Kageno-kun on the other end was standing and watching what was going on. After Nishino was kidnapped, Kageno-kun traced the kidnappers down to a warehouse. He then changed into his shadow outfit. He walked up the wall breaking the window from the roof to attack the kidnappers. Nishino was shocked as the glass falls down from the roof. Kageno-kun swung his rod to attack the kidnappers. He hit the kidnapper with a shocking speed, making the kidnapper to bleed. He then says he has found the real potential of a crowbar. They are shaped very much like tonfa. They are heavy, sturdy, and portable. Kageno-kun then rushed over and attacked the kidnapper, preventing him to pick up the gun. He used the crowbar to the kidnapper's hands, giving him a fatal attack. After the incident, a news report came out saying that Kageno-kun was found dead, as he was been hit by a bus on the highway. But that was the end of his story. Kageno-kun gets reincarnated and reborn as a baby in a new family. Yes, Kageno-kun didn't cry when he was born, because mentally he already has the brain of a teenager, not that of a child. He was reincarnated in a world full of magical abilities, which has been what he has always dreamed of before he was reincarnated. He was very happy that all this overwhelming magical energies will end up being his own. Kageno-kun grew up and began to train to become a knight. The family which he was born has pumped out several dark knights, but no one has high hopes for his mediocre skills, but rather that of his sister. She is known to be the next family heir. In reality, Kageno-kun is known to be weak, but in the shadow he's a very brutal assassin. He kills without even a second thought. He cut off a man's head just with his slime body. He was very happy by his kills. He then stretched out his hands releasing a slime sword, killing all the robbers. He was also surprised by the might of the slime sword. Suddenly he was attacked by another robber, who claimed to be stronger than other robbers. But Kageno-kun wasn't affected at all. He then launches another attack killing the man in an instant. After the fight, Kageno-kun saw an unexpected creature. It wasn't a corpse, and it has started to rot, but it's still alive. He then came to a conclusion that it was possessed. After a long time on experimenting on the creature, he finally succeeded in containing the magical overload. But the creature turned out to be an elven girl. After being healed, she fell down to Kageno-kun's body. Kageno-kun telling the elf his intentions, which is to remain in the shadows to put an end to all evil schemes. He then tells the elven that his name is the Eminence in Shadow. The next day Kageno-kun was fencing with his sister. With his skill far surpassing his sister's, he can kill her within seconds. But rather he pretends to be weak in order to continue acting in the shadows. Same day his sister was kidnapped as she was preparing to go to the Knight Academy. Because she was suspected to be one of the hero's descendant, Kageno-kun saying that things aren't always easy with girls involved. Kageno-kun with his shadow assassin attacked the base where his sister is imprisoned. The assassin are 7 in numbers, and they were very powerful, killing anyone along their path. He also took a pill from a bottle which immediately boosted his powers, creating an overwhelming burst of energy as he screams out loudly while containing the power outburst. He finally calmed down and attacked one of the 7 assassins, but he was outmatched. As he tries to escape he encountered Kageno-kun, but he was far from being his opponent. Kageno-kun telling him that his fighting has no finesse. Kageno-kun slashed him fiercely at several parts of his body as he screams in pains. He himself haven't felt so overwhelmed in battle before, but Kageno-kun was another story entirely. The only time he has been overwhelmed was when he was sparring with his teacher when he was little. But what a disgraceful fight it's, as he couldn't even lay a hand on Kageno-kun. He was also surprised by Kageno-kun's overwhelming outburst of magical energy. As he kneels down, Kageno-kun gave him a final slash which killed him. After Kageno-kun turned 16, he ended up going to the Night Academy, which his sister attended. Kageno-kun preparing for school, saying to himself that they literally treat him like a background character. For his first friends in school he chose the true-born dyed-in-the-wool background character Skell and Poe. As they boarded the train, they were talking about the penalty for the guy who scored worst in yesterday's test. The friend telling Kageno-kun to keep his promise if he fails. But the penalty for failing is to confess love to the most sought-after girl in school and suffer her brutal rejection. They told Kageno-kun not to get cold feet when his turn come, but he boldly replied that he trusts his confidence. But on his confession day, he was so scared that he was shaking in front of the girl. He couldn't even feel his legs at that moment. He finally bends down confessing his feelings to her, asking her with a shaky voice to be his girlfriend, with hopes of being rejected. But to his surprise she accepted his proposal. The next day in the dining hall, she came over to join them in their meal. They were all shocked and surprised by the scenario. She then pushed Kageno-kun to the other seat as she sat down. She invites Kageno-kun to join the Royal Fencing Clubs. Kageno-kun bowed down, introducing himself to the club members. While admiring the instructor, Kageno-kun and his false girlfriend began to spar. Kageno-kun saying to himself that he thought she was just matching her level with his. But in reality, the goal of the practice is to review their strokes and counter strokes. After their spar, the instructor was talking to Alexia about her decisions of choosing Kageno-kun as her boyfriend. But Alexia replied with yes answer. As they were all headed home, the reason why she accepted a loser like him as a boyfriend was because of her marriage engagement to the instructor. In order to shun Kageno-kun whiny, she puts hands in her pocket and brought out a gold coin. Throwing it at Kageno-kun, Kageno-kun slowly looked at the gold. Kageno-kun shamelessly stretched to pick up the coin. He then shamelessly jumps to pick another coin with his mouth tossed by Alexia. All this are because of his low allowance. Kageno-kun telling Alexia to stop looking at him, as they were both headed home in a train. Alexia telling Kageno-kun that all her life she has wanted to he liked her sister, but in the end it has gotten her nowhere. But people ends up calling her the fencer ordinaire, which means that her fencing style looks ordinary. But Kageno-kun replied that he likes her fencing style despite being ordinary. Alexia was angry by his words, stands up and point a sword to Kageno-kun, asking Kageno-kun what he means by his words. As Kageno-kun was headed to school, he was stopped by other schoolmates, who among them was Alexia's fiancé. The fiancé asked Kageno-kun to cooperate. Kageno-kun seeing the swords on the guy's hands, kindly put his hands on his head and knelt down. At that moment he knows that he was in a really big trouble.